Welcome to the Success Talk Show, the podcast for ambitious leaders who want to get their best results and create a workplace for their teams to thrive. Each week, we share practical advice to help you accelerate your success and grow as an inspiring leader. Now, here's your host, Leadership Success Coach, Donna Sirianni.
Welcome to another episode of the Success Talk Show. This is Donna Sirianni, Leadership Success Coach and founder of the Success Compass Academy. Now, in this episode, I'll share with you a few steps that you can take to become a more visionary leader. Now, the reason this is on my mind for you right now is that back in episode number 3, I'd asked my guest, Dave Melville, the CEO of the Bowden Group, which is a highly successful recruiting firm, what he sees as the most sought after leadership skills. And one of the top skills he mentioned was the ability to articulate a vision. So naturally, I want to help you gain traction on this. But before I dive into the steps, let's take a look at what a vision is and why it matters. Now, back several years ago, I was leading a global client services organization. We were basically coming up with a new global architecture for how we wanted to service our clients, all over the world. And I wanted to grow my own abilities to become a more visionary leader. Up until that point, I had viewed myself as more operational, execution, really focused on implementation. And that was really such a big initiative with such far-reaching impacts to our clients and to our organization that I wanted to grow these muscles. So one of the best books that I discovered on this topic, which I've used ever since then, is called Visionary Leadership by Bert Nanus. That's Nanus. And he writes that a vision is a realistic, credible, attractive future for your organization. And he goes on to say there's no more powerful engine driving an organization toward excellence and long-range success than an attractive, worthwhile, and achievable vision of the future that's widely shared. So that book is a gem. I've used it for many years since then. Whenever I want to develop a new vision, look at some of the steps, I pull that book out. It's really been the best one I've ever found. And he walks you through some step-by-step processes that you can use in a great detail. So I really encourage you to get that book and apply it to a specific initiative. Now, what I love about it is it took away some of the mystery. Now, I don't know about you, but for many, many years, I would attend management offsite meetings, planning retreats. Once a year, maybe we'd get together as a management team, and there would always be some kind of vision exercise. Now, quite honestly, we did it at these offsite meetings, but then for the rest of the year, you'd never see it again. There was no talk about it. You wouldn't see it. It seemed like it was just part of team building. And so it doesn't really have much juice or impact when it's a one-time exercise and it just sort of dies on the vine. So what I love about really rolling up your sleeves and developing your muscles to be a visionary leader is the opportunity to have your visioning skills be part of how you conduct your work, the conversations you have, and how you inspire your team on a daily basis. So think about this. The vision could be for a project, for an initiative, for your team, for the organization. Doesn't have to be necessarily for the whole company. But the right vision, when you communicate that to others, it would really energize them and, in effect, could jumpstart the future by inspiring them with the skills, talents, and resources really to help make it happen. It could not only energize them, but help you gain commitment, get people to buy in, see the vision, understand it, buy into it, right? And then be able to commit. It can actually help them identify with the meaning and purpose. So for example, if you are working on lots of tasks and projects, assignments that may not have a lot of meaning inherent in those activities. However, if somebody can connect the dots to how this helps save patients' lives or helps, the finances of a company, it can start to have a lot more vision and impact, right? They can connect the dots to what the purpose and meaning is and how they're contributing. It also can raise the bar in terms of what are the standards of excellence that as an organization or as a team, you're going to strive for. And it helps because now people can start to imagine, how will we move from where we are today to that future vision, right? So it can serve as a bridge. So what I want to do is just dive right into some of the steps that you can take. Now, the steps I'm going to share with you are not steps to actually create the vision. It's just, I'm going to share just 5 steps with you that will help you become a more visionary leader and just incorporate some new habits. Because really, to create a vision is a much bigger topic than we have time for today. But the first place that I'd like you to start, step number 1, is to start with creating your own vision for you, for your life, for your career. And the reason I say this is because you can strengthen your muscles on how to be forward-looking, how to look into the future and create a vision. And you can start with your own life, your own career, and you can use those exact same muscles at work for the business, okay? Now, here's a couple of tips on writing your own vision for your life and your career, just a few. Imagine what you want your life to look like, and this could be all areas of your life. Where you live, what you're doing for work, your family, relationships, what you do for your leisure time, really could be your whole life. Describe what you want your life to look like 10, 15 years from now, but do not get hung up on how you're going to get there and what you're going to do to make it happen. Because if you do that, you start to get yourself derailed, because now instead of imagining future possibilities, you're now in execution mode and you want to stay in the realm of future possibility. Just let your ideas flow, think big. This exercise helps unlock your imagination, and it gets you into the habit, as I said a minute ago, of looking into the future and seeing what's possible, what really resonates for you, what has purpose and meaning, and actually gets you excited. All the things I mentioned about what a good vision would do, energizes people, makes them feel that there's, meaning and purpose, right? Calls forth, talents and resources to start making it happen. That's what I want you to think of for yourself. Now, if you'd like a little more help, a few more tips on getting started, I did create a very short video entitled Learn to Create a Vision. Good title, huh? And it's on my YouTube channel, Donna Sirianni. And take a look at that video because I just go into a tiny bit more detail. And, this is something that in my online program, Acclimate to Accelerate, which is part of Success Compass Academy, I have all of my clients create a detailed written vision statement, because that's a crucial part of creating that momentum, right? Setting goals and creating momentum so that you know the path you're on is the right path for you. You can compare your actions to the vision and see how can you gradually move closer and closer to that vision. Okay, so we'll talk about that, a little bit more about that in a minute. Step number 2 is do the StrengthsFinder assessment if you haven't done it before. That's StrengthsFinder 2.0 to determine what your strengths are, because it really helps you to know what strengths you bring to the table when you're creating a vision. Now, I won't go into the details here of everything to do with the assessment, but you can go back to episode number 1, Acclimate to Accelerate Leadership Growth. And in that episode, I give you a few more details on how to do your StrengthsFinder assessment. It's, you've got to buy the book, StrengthsFinder 2.0, in order to get the code and do the assessment. But take a listen at that episode. I'll go into a little more detail there. But here's why I want you to do it in order to become a visionary leader. It really helps when you know your top 5 strengths and see how they relate to strategic thinking. So for example, let's say you take the assessment, or you've already done it, and you discover that of your top 5 strengths, you're primarily have your natural talents all around executing. Okay? If you know that about yourself, then you can plan accordingly, because you actually might have a bit more of a challenge when working on future vision statements and working on a future vision, because you will now have the self-awareness to realize that your natural tendency, because it's one of your strengths or several of your strengths, to dive right into how are we going to implement, how are we going to get there, right? You will know that about yourself, okay? Now, if instead you found out that out of your 5 top skills, you found out that 2 or 3 of them are all more strategic thinking skills, like futuristic, strategic, learner, and so forth, you might have an easier time letting your imagination linger on those future possibilities because it plays to your natural strengths. It just comes naturally for you to think that way. So I don't want you to beat yourself up, whether it's easy, if it's hard for you. It could just be you have a different set of natural talents. So what you can do is go into the exercises with your eyes wide open, knowing what you're good at. And when it comes time to create a vision for your team or an initiative or the organization, just go into it knowing that you will want it to be a collaborative effort. And when it comes to, I'll give you an example. Let's say that you realize you're very much focused on implementation and execution, and that you have excellent communication skills. Communication is one of your top 5. So with your eyes wide open, being able to plan accordingly, you might realize that the coming up with the vision you're going to do as a team, and when it comes to sharing the vision with others, that's where you might shine even brighter, because when it comes to standing with a team, describing the future in vivid detail, getting others to buy into the vision, getting them on board, generating enthusiasm, getting them to feel confident about it, that might all play to your strengths. It could be that the part you struggled with was actually coming up with the vision, but you don't have to do it alone. You're going to want to, pull people in who can complement your strengths. And I'll talk more about that in a second. So again, it helps to take an honest look. If you want to be seen and be a visionary leader, it really helps to know and be self-aware of what your starting point is. Okay. Step number 3 is practice using a technique called backwards visioning. Now, I did just mention the technique a second ago, but I didn't go into a lot of detail. But here's what you can do. Pick a specific project or initiative or something to start with. And backwards visioning is, this even could be a process improvement, new system implementation, something specific that's could already be in progress or is just starting. But here's what backwards visioning is. You write the vision as if it's already happened. So everything you write is in present tense. And what you're noticing when you write the document is, how has your world, your work environment, your interaction with your clients, your services, what's changed? Now you write it as if it's already happened. So let's say, for example, the process improvement is something that you're working on. You could say it's now mid-year. The process improvement we've just implemented has resulted in us getting XYZ done 50% faster, twice as fast. Clients are raving about it. We're getting a lot of client testimonials, how happy they are with our responsiveness. We've actually gotten a product innovation award for this improvement. The staff are feeling much less stress because we're getting the work done much easier, faster, fewer mistakes, whatever it is. But you're writing out everything you'd hoped would have happened, but you're writing it as if it has happened. And you can be somewhat creative in how you do that. Okay, so that's backwards visioning. Now, you can do this on your own just to get started. It could be a specific project. You take a crack at this technique, but it actually has more impact if you work on it with the small team of people who are involved in that project, maybe 3 to 5 people. Maybe you write it together. You could do a brainstorming exercise, put it on flip chart, say, what will already have occurred? What will be improved in our environment, in our business, in our work, if this is successful and it's already happened? And you could even brainstorm those points on flip chart paper and then, piece together the document. So you can get a lot of synergy, a lot of power by having the small group work on it together. Now, when you pull that group of people together, what you want to do is you want to make sure the 3 to 5 people have complementary strengths. Make sure they complement you and each other. For example, if you know that you're execution focused, be sure you pull in other strengths, influencing skills, other communication skills, relationship building, analytical, strategic thinking skills, but make sure you don't have 5 people who all think, talk, and act all, alike, because you would love to get more creativity from the exercise. Okay. So that's backwards visioning. Now, step number 4 is look for opportunities in the organization of where there might be a need for a new vision. Now, I just mentioned as an exercise, you could just pick a project, pick anything. But now I'm asking you to take that one step further and look for clues of what might be begging for a new or refreshed vision. Here's a few of the clues that I learned from the Visionary Leadership book I mentioned earlier. When people are confused on the overall direction of where the project is going, where the team is heading, where the organization is going, that's a sign that maybe it's time to take a step back and create a new vision. Okay. Another couple of clues are people are complaining that things are just, kind of boring. There aren't enough challenges, same old, same old. Okay. Maybe it's time to create an exciting new vision for the organization. Another example would be if you, your team, or your company are no longer seen as innovative. You're not really keeping up with the market. You're not really keeping up with technology. You might be losing your market position. Okay. Those are all red flags. Those are all clues that maybe it's time to create a new vision. Maybe there's a declining sense of pride in what the organization's doing. People aren't really feeling that there's a lot of progress or momentum. They're not taking pride. It feels stale. And lastly, maybe there's a lack of trust or respect for senior management, right? All of these could serve as important clues that it's time to create a new vision. So step number 4 is do your own assessment, survey the landscape, and see what might be a good opportunity to practice and strengthen your visioning skills, right? It could be even just within your own immediate team, okay? Now, step number 5 is what I would say is really about practice sharing the vision. Okay. In the last step, you're doing an assessment. You're going to use some of the visioning skills that you've developed. But step number 5, being a visionary leader isn't just about huddling with a group, coming up with a vision statement, putting it on a flip chart or on a PowerPoint slide and declaring victory. That is an important step, but it is equally important that now it be shared widely, frequently, broadly, okay? And as I mentioned earlier, have you ever attended a management offsite meeting where you spent a lot of time creating a vision statement and then it kind of disappeared into thin air, never to be seen again? So that's why it's really important that after you create it, you breathe life into it on a continual basis so people believe it, they have faith in it, they're working towards it, they get excited about it, and there's a sense of commitment, okay? So getting back to Dave Melville's feedback a few months ago, he said it's the number one of the top skills that is most sought after, top leadership skills, is being able to articulate the future vision. Okay, so to be seen as someone who can do that, you want to be the person who is always sharing it with, your team members, the organization, sharing it, discussing it, revising it if it makes sense, but always draw a connection back to the vision so that you're helping others see how what they're working on aligns with the future vision. How is their contribution connecting to the bigger purpose? For example, you might be discussing a decision or an opportunity with your team, and you're debating what's the right choice here, right? So you can bring the vision into that conversation simply by asking the question, now what choices could we make here that would actually help us move closer to our vision? And you could take each choice and say, does this move us closer to the vision, or is it in conflict and takes us in a different direction? And you can engage in a more detailed discussion about it, because then it actually reinforces the path that you're on. And again, it brings that vision to life if you use it as a guide and to see, what actions are people taking that would help actually achieve it, right? Because you want it to be, as I mentioned before, you want the vision to be a realistic, credible, attractive future for the organization. And so you can refer to it during decision making. Okay, so those are the 5 steps that I wanted to share with you today. Hopefully you found that helpful. And what I'd like you to do is be sure to leave a comment on iTunes if you found this episode helpful. I would love to hear from you. Also be sure to subscribe so that you get the future episodes of the Success Talk Show. And I really thank you for listening, and I'll look forward to sharing more on the next episode. Have a great day.